All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Legend of the Galactic Heroes, episode 96. Well, shit.
Yep, shit.
All right. I mean, a few things happened in the last episode. We had the twin sons being like, hey, we'll go along with Reuenthal for now, and then we'll, turn on him for Mein Kaiser. But then it's like, wait, are you actually just convincing him to go along so that way you can be with whichever's the winning side?
Right.
That whole thing. And then Julian is like, no, I'm not going to do Reuenthal's thing. I've already decided what I'm going to do. And then he just doesn't tell us. And
we just have to sit there.
It's rude. Just stop being such a tease.
Episode.
Yeah. But then we also had that call with Mittermeyer and Reuenthal.
Yeah, that's the one that still like rings in my ears.
They go and do battle.
So close to understanding the way that they can move this forward. But
Reuenthal bit back that extra bit of information at the last minute. And Mittermeyer's like, well, we're doing this, so,
Yeah.
All right.
And Mueller gave it a fair shot. Trying to be like, hey, Reinhard, maybe we don't have to do this.
Right. Don't promote me just yet. I want to get something, do something where I deserve that promotion.
But I don't want to take that spot from someone that still is, your fleet admiral in a lot of ways. So, okay. Here we go.
Yep.
Y'all, without further ado, let's get into it. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion. Oh, that was a
my God.
That was just all
whole episode
conflict.
Dedicated to a battle. Hell yeah.
And it's a part one of how many.
Yep, exactly. We don't know how many. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, all right. Mittermeyer kicks things off with basically saying, no, Reuenthal, you don't get any time to prep.
Yep.
I am going to get there fast as possible. And yes, I left Bittenfeld and Wallen behind in the dust by 30 minutes tiered, respectively. So Bittenfeld, the charge recklessly, was still 30 minutes behind Mittermeyer, and Wallen was 30 minutes behind Bittenfeld.
And
And I am kind of amazed that Mittermeyer was able to then not only handle Reuenthal, but basically adopt I'm going to keep you busy strategy for 30 minutes.
Yep.
Then Bittenfeld shows up. Well, bam! Just comes in and just like, yeah,
we're here, bitches.
on the table,
on the proverbial table. Yeah,
exactly. But even then, Reuenthal still got the upper hand until then Wallen comes in, and now they outnumber Reuenthal.
And this is where I love that. So in the earlier segments of the show, right? It was these kinds of battles were decided by the decisions of individuals, right? But usually it was stupid decisions of individuals, and it was it's believable that they would make those stupid decisions because
they're incompetent.
They're incompetent. They've been resting on their laurels, all that stuff, right? The old empire needs to die out and all that.
Yeah.
In this situation, it's still going to be decided by the decisions of individuals, but the justification for having these characters be still competent, while at the same time making mistakes, I liked a lot. I liked a lot. Like there were a couple instances where it felt a bit odd, but like the whole thing with Grillparzer being like, okay, we'll turn on them. Oh shit, Knapstein's dead.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because Mittermeyer basically knew, oh, wait a minute. No, these two are probably the ones that would be the least all in on Reuenthal, so I'm going to make their fleets break, and then their lines will falter, and then I can take advantage of that and end the fight really quickly.
Makes sense, right?
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah. But then it's suddenly you hesitate because you didn't, and it's not, and it's something that is a weakness on Grillparzer's side because he's hesitating, but it's also built up but it's because Mittermeyer is being so offensive, right? Because he's the Gale Wolf, right? He comes in and he's just hammering you so hard that you freeze up a little bit.
You don't get time to breathe,
Right, and suddenly it's something where that little bit of inaction, well, you aren't on the side that you want to stay on, so inaction is basically just holding to that old decision,
hold on. Can you move your mic back a bit?
Oh, yeah.
Like a little bit more. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Sure.
You're going into the red a lot.
Gotcha.
There,
Okay. But and then all of a sudden it's something where am I kind of too deep now? Oh, I hesitate once. It's easy to hesitate again. And then the opportunity presents itself and passes him by. And I would absolutely believe that Reuenthal was kind of having them on the more of the front lines so that way, one, the risk's on them, but two, if they do try and like turn on him, it won't be like, you know, they'll be the ones that basically get killed, right? Because then, you know, Reuenthal just fires away, right?
Right.
And then it's something where that pressure on the individual compels the unit, right? It compels the whole. And then suddenly Reuenthal basically just got a bunch of free ships that he wouldn't have had otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I like that the flow of the fight very much had a nice kind of sequential, kind of believable kind of flow to it as well. And that when Bittenfeld kind of breaks the initial like kind of tide of the flow moving, I would say more in Reuenthal's favor. One of the things that I really liked to see here was that because generally speaking, Reuenthal has always been on the side with Bittenfeld, for instance. He gets to critique the 2% of incompetence, basically, that Bittenfeld has that makes him not a Mittermeyer or a Reuenthal.
Right.
And it's easy to look down on someone like that and be like, yes, you are an incompetent, reckless admiral. Admiral. But no, when you're on the receiving side of things, you go, actually, wait a minute.
I don't know how to deal with that.
You're really fucking annoying.
Right.
Like, oh my God, wait. Okay, we need to break this really quickly. Like hold on, this is becoming a problem.
Right.
All right, concentrate, push them back.
Yep.
Okay, it kind of starts to work. Bittenfeld's like, no retreat. Did I say retreat? No, that's not what we do here.
I'll fire on anyone that retreats.
Yeah, and the idea that Eugen broadcasted that to basically right everyone's ship, pun intended, but also be something that kind of resurrected the unity that Fahrenheit's ships had with like the Empire in general, basically being Bittenfeld's kind of the focal point of that. But in a weird way, Bittenfeld was kind of like Reinhard in a way that he basically shone so brilliantly, like stupidly flaming, burning bright, you know, that everyone was literally like, oh shit, I guess we're going. And
we're not going to dishonor Fahrenheit's sacrifice by, you know, turning on these people that we're supposed to fight alongside.
Yeah, and this directly counteracts the morale problem on Reuenthal's side of things, where you have admirals that are hesitating on whether or not they should betray their fleet's like whole position,
not just leave, but like,
or even whether or not they should be like committing everything into these like you know tactics. So Nabstein's dead. Grillparts, sir, you fucked up.
You fucked up, and it might be salvageable, but this will no longer be a like a
fair fight. Basically.
Well, not just a fair fight, but like if you do it, you'll be salvaging the situation with Reinhard and your favor in the Empire, not like being like, hey,
I'm a hero.
We did the perfect play. It's the
no, if you wanted to be the hero, you could have done it immediately.
Right. You know, the idea that you wanted to play this game and walk kind of this razor edge, cool, but you need to be comfortable with walking a razor's edge. And like, you need some of that Bittenfeld energy to be like, hell yeah, you know.
And the Mittermeyer energy. To jump in with basically like 40% probably of the fleet numbers.
Yep.
Because I'm guessing that to put this into kind of perspective here is that Mittermeyer only outnumbered Reuenthal once he had all three fleets there.
Right. Yeah.
So I would assume that he maybe has 8,000 to 10,000 more ships than Reuenthal. You know, like somewhere along those numbers. And that would mean then that if you extrapolated the 12 to 15,000 per fleet,
right,
that would mean that, well, Mittermeyer was like behind the numbers by like, what was it, like almost 100%. Like he had like,
even if
50% of the numbers that Reuenthal had or something.
Yeah, I would
like 60%.
Say I would guess probably around there, because even if like his fleet comprised like 50% of the total forces, because like Bittenfeld and Wallen's fleets were smaller.
Sure,
that's still, you know, huge numbers disadvantage. And then even more so, Grillparzer, that's how much you could have shifted things.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if it wasn't at the perfect moment.
Right.
As soon as all three fleets are there, if you just suddenly send them a message, and he ended up wanting to send a message eventually, right? But if you had basically just said, hey, we're on your side, and even if Reuenthal finds out, right? Like, who cares?
Yeah.
At the point when Reuenthal is then trying to, like, take care of the traitors, right?
Yeah. Mecklinger comes in like a little bit later.
Well, yeah, but even without Mecklinger,
Reuenthal might have surrendered,
right? Like Mittermeyer and Wallen and Bittenfeld, they would absolutely be able to take advantage of the chaos in Reuenthal's forces, right? Like that would have been probably, I'm guessing, no issue.
Yeah.
So
in fact, it in a way that ties things into what Mittermeyer obviously wants. He wants as little casualties as possible. And yet I loved the narrator's long, drawn-out commentary on the idea that, no, just because that's what they want...
doesn't mean they're not subtly affected.
Doesn't mean they're not subtly affected emotionally by the fact that they are having a wondrous, glorious battle.
Yep.
And that gets into their heads a little bit and makes them enjoy this a little bit more than maybe they even want to.
Sure.
And I loved the comment that Reuenthal is kind of like, I mean, there's just little comments and stuff in the fight and stuff where you can tell that he is not emotionally swayed
right
as much by all this. But, I mean, he lost Nepstein, and that's on him. Like, that's on his fleet's lack of coordination. So, yeah.
And yet he has the also presence of mind to be like, oh, this is terrible. No, the tea's fine. It's just
that was funny.
I meant the battle.
but at that point, if Reuenthal really did care about the men, though, that might have been his cue to be like, I surrender. But what he really wants isn't this battle.
Nope, he wants Reinhard.
Which means that he's kind of committed to the end.
Sure.
And there's this really like sick, twisted thing of it in that, yes, Krillparzer, even if maybe you did betray them and then Mecklinger showed up and then Reuenthal staring down a 3-1, disadvantage, I don't know if he would even surrender then. There's a possibility that he would just turn and run and basically be like, I'll have a better opportunity elsewhere.
Yeah.
But even in combination with that, he does a very I will be the last to retreat kind of commander move. So it's like, I feel so conflicted with Reuenthal.
We can't help but admire him as he's doing all of this stuff, right? And I love how the narrator, I feel like, was used really well in this episode, and the narrator in Legend usually is used very well, right? Yeah. But a big epic fight is not the kind of place where I would traditionally expect a narrator to fit well, right? Now, granted, because
it helps because this is so impersonal.
Yeah, it's a space battle. They're pressing buttons that end thousands of lives, right? And since we don't necessarily understand the tactics, a lot of the ships look the same. We can tell which way they're pointing on the screen, but there's not too many ways to tell what's going on.
And even then, sometimes when they try to communicate the tactics, sometimes they just don't work.
So, but the way that it was communicating, basically, like the pressure that is all on all of the people that are in this fight, right? Whether you're talking about even, Bittenfeld and the Black Lancers, only regrouping after what was it, several days of combat.
Days,
it's like, okay, that's ridiculous.
That's amazing.
the fact that Mittermeyer is just like absolutely incessant with his attack on Reuenthal, right? He's just not letting up.
A lesser commander would have passed out at this point.
And that's not a lesser just person in general, right? Because of course, a person put into this kind of high stress situation, how would they handle it? But a commander, someone who's trained and fairly used to these kinds of situations, right? So, a commander among commanders, right?
Right.
And that kind of the way that's communicated is just one, cool and poetic and all of that stuff. But it does so much to communicate what these kinds of people's lives are and what their struggles are in these positions, and just how it can really it feels like something that's oscillating really quickly, like a really fast orbit or something.
Sure.
And at any moment it could just fly out of orbit, right? Everything could fall apart.
Like Wallen nearly died.
Yeah, exactly.
That was something that went so wrong so quickly because I think some stray fighters got really close to his capital ship.
And he just got lucky.
In that 2 direct hits took out like the hangar, and then another one hit pretty close to the actual like bridge.
And shrapnel, boom, his arm's gone. Oh, well, lucky it was the arm that he already lost. You know,
exactly.
Like that was
awesome.
the shot of him standing there after he had like taken off like the rest of his arm, just one arm, and just being like, "All right, continue." It's like that's so cool.
That's
like,
so freaking awesome.
That's super awesome. But yeah,
oh man,
like, this episode had just so many moments of awesome, and yet at the same time, the logic of it, for like 95% of it, really did seem like I felt like I could track with it. Like it made sense, the things that they were trying to do, and because
I feel like they actually did a better job, even though there was that one part that you noticed that we were like, I don't buy
Bear
this
line.
as
It's
much.
like, wait, not
it
not
felt
sure
like,
that makes sense.
It felt like if he was gonna die, that it would have been worse. But I'm glad that he didn't die, because it was then just trying to communicate the flow of combat.
Right. It felt like one of the things of like, he's not as good as Reuenthal, so therefore he's going to make some blunder. But it's like,
no, please don't aura of stupid Bear line. Like, yeah,
he is good boy.
Yeah, if anything, the fact that they showed how you can set up the way in which Grillparzer and Knapstein can make mistakes because of their worry about betrayal here.
Yep.
That was a cool way to set up why Knapstein died.
Right.
But the stuff with Bayerline felt a little bit like, but all the other tactics and stuff like that, I definitely felt like I understood them a lot more. Like, I really liked Wallen's going into support when the Reuenthal advancement basically went to go and take the flank that had been left open by Bittenfeld's
Bittenfeld's retreat,
Bittenfeld's regrouping.
Regroup,
yeah, and that's the kind of thing that I really love to see, that kind of ebb and flow, because generally in a battle that's dictated by ranged, artillery and cannon fire and what have you, in this case here, it really does kind of play out in this, like, okay, they're moving into our optimal range, fire and retreat. Okay, now they're giving this side here. Let's basically, it becomes geometry. Let's be able to hit them from multiple angles, focusing on fire.
A numbers game to just up your efficiency of killing them.
It's a lot of this, and then you basically do minor deployments out front to get even better, optimal like firing range and stuff like that. But then that leads to, they respond, and then you counteract those responses, and it leads to some chaos. But I really felt like this was one where I could follow, like you're saying, like everything else.
And that's very hard to do, to have chaos on the battlefield that the audience can track with. Because if it doesn't have any chaos, right, then it's just like, this doesn't necessarily feel like a battle, right?
It just feels like a bunch of noise. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Because there's that whole saying of no plan survives contact with the enemy, right? If there is no chaos, then it's either one side seems stupid or it's just, I don't know. Like, I don't
noise.
even really... Noise. But in this case, it's like, no. They are constantly doing little micro movements and adjustments and things like that to basically get the leg up on the other person. And they're aware of the other side's own competence to do those sorts of things. So it just, it spiderwebs out, and it's less about, have you seen this situation before, but can you adapt?
Yeah, and then they tie it always into the personality shtick of the individual admiral, so that it's something that causes them to shine in their specific way.
Right.
And I feel like that was kind of what was cool about Reuenthal here, was that we saw him evolve. We saw him become, I would say, a leader worth fighting for and dying for.
Yep.
There were a lot of moments where he basically put everything on the line to make sure that, well, Grillparzer for one survived. There was that moment where Grillparzer nearly fell, like had everything fall apart, and then Reuenthal himself stepped in and resolved the situation. And I'm actually really excited for what could happen with Reuenthal having, in some ways, less subordinates. Because while they foreshadowed previously that if he doesn't have competent subordinates underneath him, that's going to cause problems with his fleet movements, which is why Knapstein died. The idea, though, that if Grillparzer becomes that loyal, firm subordinate that's competent now, that is all in on this because he's like,
he might feel forced into it.
I have to. Like, I have to commit to this all the way to the end. Bergengruen and him could be the wings the wings of Reuenthal, and I could see Mittermeyer, while having high like morale, maybe getting that morale switched around as this becomes a, well, we're having a drawn out battle of attrition.
With
Reuenthal is not
potential friends,
with potential friends, brothers, people that we know from other fleets and stuff. That's something that can kill their morale advantage and bring this way back more in Reuenthal's favor, even though it's so skewed in Mittermeyer's favor right now with the arrival of Mecklinger.
Yeah.
Which, way to go, Julian.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Julian thinking really far ahead with the political angle that they gained in some way, and I love that.
Whether it's beforehand or after the fact is like you kind of owe us now, You don't want your glorious empire to be beholden to the handouts from tiny little Iserlon, republic.
But I also love the other implications here that Reuenthal kind of foreshadowed of, based on the fact then that this Imperial fleet then will make its way all the way into the New Land or the Old Alliance territory. Everyone in Iserlon is free to move wherever they want now. And what's exciting about that is not them doing some grand maneuver, but basically just them being able to go and be like, hey, let's send some people back to Heinessen.
Sure.
We could send some people to Odin as well.
We could get other people that move to Iserlon because they're like, we actually want to be a part of what you've got going.
Yeah, come here.
We don't want to be in the war zone.
Right, right.
Now, granted, Iserlon is one place and probably couldn't, hold too many people.
They could hold a decent amount of people.
A decent amount of people, but probably not.
It's a super Death Star, dude.
Right, but probably not compared to the amount of people in the New Land, right?
No, but it's not going to take that. Yeah. I'm just talking about people that could then join up with them.
Yep.
And it doesn't even have to be going back to Iserlon. They could be going to Elfassil,
Sure.
Yep.
Right. And or maybe even it's just something where then the people that are on Iserlon, it's like, hey, you can see your families for a bit. Like timed surely. Very important that you get back here,
Very quickly.
Very quickly, but yeah.
But, okay. Awesome. Part 1 of an indeterminate number for the Reuenthal versus Mittermeyer war.
Because the Year of Blood is not
yet over. We're in December.
And Mittermeyer's pressing the attack. So...
the one character that's weirdly like kind of just set up to die in a really sad way, and yet I'm kind of ruining that day is Bergengruen.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys where I really feel like he deserves to be somewhat honored in a way for the fact that he is so fiercely loyal, but he really he really did get kind of the short end of the stick in a lot of this, and I kind of understand this from his perspective here, but
he's in a rough situation. And one of the things that I love about it, just because Bergengruen is a great character in general, but I remember way back at the beginning of the show when it's like, Kier Heiss has to deal with the drunk subordinate. It's like, okay, what's the all right, this is this is a fun little thing, it's like, great, we see the kind of person that Kier Heiss is and whatnot, and cool, right? But the fact that he's still around and he's helping Reuenthal so much in more ways than one. I feel like he is the closest thing that Reuenthal would have to sort of that Jiminy Cricket or something in a situation like this. Even though, because of Reuenthal's position, he's not kind of letting him be that role. Yeah. It's just another example of how Kier Heiss, it's like, yes, you died way too soon, but the effects of your life are still being felt.
Yeah. But y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode of Reaction and Discussion. If you want to see the next episode's Reaction and Discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all
next time.